A week or two ago, I covered 3 weird discoveries in Super Mario 3D All-Stars that took place at the beginning of the game. These were in places that new players would access almost immediately. But I know some of you were keen on wanting the discoveries specific to the actual re-release and not to the games that existed beforehand. And that makes sense. But most of the things discovered in 3D All-Stars so far have been bugs that have sort of painted the collection in a slightly negative light. Those of you in the emulation space may be aware of these things, but if this is your first time taking a swing at these 3D titles, Super Mario Sunshine specifically, then these might be things you overlooked. So let's dive in to talk about this collection and the problems it has with its current setup in this short video. And real fast before starting, I did just release a game I've been working on for a while now. If you like challenging indie horror games fit to a Nintendo 64 graphical theme, this is for you. Enter the spooky corn maze if you dare, just don't get lost, or worse. You can download Zardy's Maze for completely free in the description below. But now, back to Super Mario 3D All-Stars. So since the release of 3D All-Stars, I feel like there's been some general criticisms across the board. Now, just saying, I absolutely love this package, so keep that in mind for this video. But most of these criticisms seem to be directed at Super Mario Sunshine. Lots of players are sad to see the BLJ mechanic removed in Super Mario 64 due to the version being utilized being a later release, as they are also devastated to hear Bowser's throw dialogue being swapped. It's just not the same, man. At launch, it was unsure if these games were going to be remasters or at least slightly touched up versions, but it seems that they are just emulated versions on the Switch. Unfortunately, these classic titles didn't get the HD treatments that the Zelda series got, but it's because of this that a multitude of oddities exist. It doesn't help that the production schedule for this collection could have been rushed too, due to the global lockdown disrupting the creation process. According to eCumber05 on Twitter, it looks like the save data for Super Mario Sunshine within 3D All-Stars was last modified on February 19th, 2020. After some further digging, it appears that the cutscene metadata points back to December of 2019. The games are running through tailored emulators on the Switch, but it seems that despite notable issues being logged online from previous emulation attempts, some issues weren't resolved, and new ones came to be that weren't caught in testing. Now, pretty much everything I'm going to be talking about in this video was found by others and not me. I'm merely compiling them for the sake of this video. But these things were disappointing to quite a few folks because they were already noted online. So let's start off with the debug cubes. If we head to Bianco Hills and select the secret of the Dirty Lake, we'll eventually find ourselves in one of those hair-pulling secret zones. If this is your first time running through Super Mario Sunshine's secret areas, you may have just assumed that the gray boxes that were scattered around the various platforms were supposed to be there. After all, they sort of mimic what Super Mario 64 does for its checkered platform paths. But these aren't supposed to be visible. They've been a well-known emulator issue with Super Mario Sunshine for many years. Anyone who gave Super Mario Sunshine a whirl through Dolphin over the years would have seen these. They aren't visible if played on the GameCube unless you use Action Replay or the like to make them visible. Since they are a well-known thing, the fact that they are left visible kinda upset people. If you're going to emulate GameCube games for a collection, wouldn't you take the time to check out the existing documentation that is publicly available that pertains to all emulation issues with the game? The community had already done some of the homework, so it seems odd to miss this notable error. Emulation can cause all sorts of weird issues. Some are mild ones like this, and some are brutal. So I'm glad older things like the impassable Chuck Your Death Throw didn't spring up, because that would have been horrible if the game dropped with that being present. But this brings us to our second issue. Faulty logic in the emulation. If we head out to Serena Beach, we encounter an issue that breaks the mission. Specifically, bud completion requirements for the cleanup mission on Serena Beach. An emulation problem that causes the game to think you cleared the mission despite you only just starting it. You load up the mission, get assigned cleanup duty, and basically neglect your responsibilities. Players can apparently clear this in less than 10 seconds, if they hit all the right spots. This bug existed in a slightly similar form over a decade ago in early Dolphin builds, except it happened immediately after finishing the dialogue at the start of the mission. You would get asked to clean up the space, and then you just take the shine spread and leave. All in a hard day's work, eh Mario? And currently it's unknown if other problems like this exist in the game. The collection has only been out for a few weeks. So far, we've quickly touched on display problems, glitched completion logic, and last we have general optimization issues. I'm honestly not really sure how to categorize these or even if that describes them accurately, but here we go. Some players have noted that Delfino Plaza can be a bit laggy at times, and sometimes the game can slightly chug. This could be a Switch issue that doesn't pertain to the game itself, but one thing I do find interesting is that opening the map still makes the game chug. This was a big issue in early Dolphin builds when running Super Mario Sunshine, except it was a lot worse. However, 3D All-Stars still slows down when accessing the map despite not being quite as bad. But this did get fixed eventually in emulation, so it kinda took me back when I noticed the slight slowdown on the Switch version. Menu stuff aside, we also have scaling problems with some overlays like the turbo nozzle underwater. It doesn't fit the screen accurately given the new 16:9 parameters. There's also a weird sensor tone error that can happen when starting races and the like. Apparently, this is a digital signal processing error that exists in the emulator that Nintendo made. These are the most notable bugs so far that have been found in the game, but I do want to say that something else I found interesting is that the heat wave in the game kinda doesn't work like it used to. So you probably noticed that Super Mario Sunshine has this heat wave that is always a set distance from the player. At first you might think that this is specifically there to make the game feel super hot and muggy, and while that is true, it's also a view distance barrier. The reason this barrier really exists is because game developers stop all animations and character movements once objects get far enough away. Characters just freeze in place, but the warped heat wave makes it hard to tell they aren't really moving. They become like a mirage in the desert, or at least it did when the game was standard definition on the GameCube. Because things are way more clear now, the heat barrier kind of doesn't really do what it used to. It no longer masks out the background into a muddy mess because we're in an HD environment. But with all of that said, what are your thoughts on Super Mario 3D All-Stars? Do you feel like the collection feels rushed? Have you been thoroughly enjoying it? Let me know in the comments below. And please check out Zardy's Maze, the free game I just released. I honestly cannot wait to see you guys play it. It's the perfect spooky game for the Halloween season. It's short, challenging, and has quite a lot of depth to it. Can you clear the maze? Can you figure out the mystery? Head to the description below to download it for free, and I'll see you all very soon in the next video. Cheers.